Hey, welcome to the Linux channel. So quite often I discuss video episodes on kernel source and various other stuff in Linux, and I thought it will be interesting to discuss about Bugzee platform within the developer community of Linux kernel. So Bugzee is a place, or in short we generally call as Bugzee in the company. You can also call as Bugzilla. You can track kernel issues and various developer discussion in Bugzee. So you can see here, you can go to Bugzilla. The link is bugzilla.kernel.org, which you can also go from this main kernel link. So somewhere you can find over here, as you can see, the other resources. You have this Bugzilla and other stuff. So from there you can go to the Bugzilla, and then in case if you find any errors or issues in your Linux system, you can report over there. And in case if you are a kernel developer, and if you are facing some issues, in case you have found it in some, or you caught it in a log or somewhere, you can report it in Bugzee. Although if you are a new beginner or something, this is something you must have never heard or something like that. So it's a very simple platform to track these errors. And please understand, this is not something maintained by any company or something. It's a part of Linux Foundation, and of course anyone can contribute. If you find any issues, you may be a student, if you are working on any specific kernel module, or you are working in a new kernel module by yourself, and you are finding issues in some existing kernel module, and if you find something suspicious, you can send it or report it in the Bugzee, and you can have a discussion. Someone must have worked on that, and someone may have knowledge. Understand, this is not any open discussion forum or something. So before you post in Bugzee, please go through their policies, and please be aware, this is not something like a discussion forum, and please don't expect anyone to sort of assume that they are responsible of anything. Kernel itself is, Linux kernel is a community driven stuff. So if you find something very serious, then you can assign the priority of the bug, but don't expect any prompt response. Someone who have worked on that, who got some knowledge prior, may respond in case if they finds that whatever you posted. And same way, one more interesting thing is, if you go here like that, you can log in, you can sign up, you can see your new account, and then you can file a bug. And apart from that, let me just open this. For that one have to log in. Let me see. So you can go to home, and then you can tell file a bug, and then you can select the category, and then you can do that process of filing your bug. So apart from that, you can also search, even before filing a bug, you can search any such bug which exists, and anything which is closed. It takes time. Please understand, these things takes time. You need to go through thousands of threads even before concluding something is wrong. And one more important thing is, whenever you file a bug, mention as much steps as possible to recreate this bug, because if you get it in your system, say take for instance, if you get it in this laptop, even before filing a bug, check in some other hardware like my main PC, and check in multiple hardware and give more information. Suppose if you are finding it in this Intel processor, take for instance, I am building a Ryzen platform network storage array. I need to check before even posting, is it coming in a different platform if possible, and then you can give more input, so that somebody can get a clue that what is the source of this bug. Okay, so you can find various sections over here, and apart from that, You can also search any specific keywords, like you can tell if it is something related to networking. Please understand, it is also not about, filing bugs or something. This is very much vital if you want to be a kernel developer or something like that, because kernel developer, people just start learning about code, and they even as I mentioned in most of my video, they just go through some kernel module development and stuff like that. But it is not the case actually. Once you are working as a real professional, that is not something anyone does. Okay, you need to see what is the existing flow of the community and how the things are done. Okay, so anyone can contribute. If you are in school, you can contribute. If you find some solution to that bug by changing some code, you can also put forward your views. Anyone can participate. There is nothing restricts. You may be in a job, you are studying still, or you are a manager, you are a CEO, you are a CTO, or just you are a beginner, just joined your first job. Anyone can contribute in this forum. And also if you are an expert in that specific module or the field, you can if you find any fix, you can also fix there, and then you can submit your changes to the kernel foundation team. So take for instance, we can do some random search in case if we find any bugs or something in that topic. So let me search something like TCP. Yeah, as you can see here, let me do a search like this, and it lists all this stuff. You can see here it has the status, new, assigned, needed info, and reopened, and everything. There again you can filter whichever you want. If you don't want this the reopened, you just want open bugs, so you can filter as new alone, and then you can change anything you want. So let's not go much in depth. Let's just take a couple of examples. So you can find here there are a lot of things are available, and you can see here there are like interesting bugs are there. See, in this case there is something, it says as warning at net IPv4 TCP output.c, and in the code the line is 1065 of TCP fragment. So that's where that API looks like it is having an issue. Sorry about the dog which is outside, it is somebody's pet dog. Okay, I can't go and I can't tell anything actually. So I thought anyway this is an interesting topic, let me just cover it. Let's not bother much about outside noise which we don't have any control. Okay, so if you open the same, you can go through more in depth. You can go through, first thing is, whenever you are seeing anything like this, first check when it is reported and correspond the kernel source version of that time and versus currently when it is finally updated. So if you see the record, you see it is reported on 2013, which is quite long back, and it is last updated on 2016. After that there is no status update. And in case if you find that it has been already fixed in the subsequent versions, somehow by modifying the other places in the Linux kernel source, you can even mention that it's no more occurring in this current version, and then you can even request for closure and stuff like that. So you can just participate. It's the end of the day, it's a community based project. Kernel itself is. So you can see here it has this status, and the bug is filed by so and so person, and he reported with all this logs, whatever he found, it is showing all this stuff, and he's given all the parameters and stuff like that. So in the end, somebody have acknowledged, Alan have acknowledged, he says, can you post a copy of the report to netdev at vigar.kernel.org. So it's how it goes inside, because somebody may be aware of this module and someone wants to keep track of this. So kernel is very huge, and this is how it is done. Okay, it's not your, if you are big, a beginner and you are thinking to get into kernel development, there is no use of reading books alone, as I mention all the time. Okay, books give some basic know-how and basic flow of various architectural subsystems. But in the real world, okay, this is how complex it is, and this is how you can be in tune with what is happening in the day-to-day basis of the present state of Linux kernel development. So go through like this. In this case it is not much having any discussion, whereas this I sent to my student because he purchased a new Ryzen 5 based system. He is facing some issues with restarts and stuff like that. It is little bit weird. I suspected initially it's a kernel issue, and I told him whether he gets it in the Windows. He told yes, it is coming in Windows as well, and then he found some strange disk errors. Of course, I told to get back Seagate RMA, and it is one side it is going on. And then again I requested him disconnect the entire hard disk, although it is looking faulty, and check without a hard disk with some Ubuntu boot CD, do some stress testing and stuff like that. Again that he did, and again he is getting some kind of weird restarts. So there are multiple cases. His RAM could have had some issues. Maybe the RAM insertion may have an issue, RAM socket may have an issue, or it is down to CPU thermals. So I requested him to check LM sensors command. The CPU looks fine. It is around at the range of 35 degrees here and there, which is still fine. So CPU temperature is not an issue. Then I requested him to check the SMPS or the power supply, because the power supply looks a bit shoddy and it is little bit suspicious. And this issue can be a power supply issue as well, because it is not providing enough 12 volt rail current. So it is either lagging behind, or it can be some other issue. So, or it can be even kernel as well. We can't rule it out. But since it has been checked with Windows as well, we are still skeptical. It is not anything related to software layer. So that's about it. But randomly I stumbled across this bug, which is almost similar to his situation. You can see here random lockup on a new Ryzen build. So this overall sort of have a very good amount of discussion someone have done, and then someone have recreated, and they had enough of discussion with various distributions and various kernel versions as well. So this is how things are handled. You can see several people have engaged in this discussion, and it is still going on. You can go down all the way, and you can see even in the year 2018 it is getting discussed or getting sorted out. Okay. So the last post someone discussed on 22nd of September 2018, which is just a couple of days ago. You can see it is an active bug getting tracked by various members in the community. Okay. So if you go to the top, okay, you can see the it is first started, the thread started on 2017 I'm sorry, August or 8th month, and currently it is more than 1 year and 1 month. So 2018 September of 22. So it has a CC list of more than 95 users, you can see here, and which means if any update is there, I think it is going to send an email or something. See, I'm not any active contributor of Bugzee, and of course I do worked in during the tenure of Monta Vista, and of course I used to track and report and everything, but almost I forgotten about all bells and whistles of all the options over there. So of course you can track, and you can add your email to that list, and if you add your email and your ID to that list, any updates it is going to send you. If anyone posts any reply or something, it will send you an automated mail, so which allows you to track and get back in case if you have any inputs based on that input from some other member or user. So this is how it helps, and you can see its importance is P1, and currently its status is still new, which means it is not yet sorted fully, and it is not something it is closed or something like that. So this is how it is, and you can see the kernel version, the initial kernel version affected is 4.13.4, so that's what they have mentioned, and you can find various other details. Okay, and you can also find various attachments, because each time there is some sort of a log or something, they can just attach it to this thread. So this is how bugs are tracked in a Linux system. So if you are very new to kernel development, please understand, go through the main overall big picture through textbooks, but other than that you need to go through the kernel source. But other than that, you need to see how the community is working together. So this is a proof that community works like this way together, and whether it is any issues, they sit together and they kind of sort it out. It takes months. It's almost like a court case, of course. Okay, it takes time, because somebody should able to recreate it, somebody should have the same hardware, and if they find it able to recreate, somebody will tell that, hey, I also find in the same version. Somebody may not get anymore in the later versions of kernel, someone may not get it in the previous versions of kernel. Then again it should be discussed, and someone may find an effective solution or a fix before he submits to the kernel team. He can also cross check over here, and then request others to try it, and in case if his fix is working fine, then finally he can go ahead and submit it to the kernel team. So it will eventually get merged in the mainline kernel source. So this is a quick video, unlike my usual videos these days whichever I cover. So I thought this will be very useful in case if you are very much new to kernel development. Go through all this platforms before you dig down and then scratch your head how I can get into something like this. This is how things are done in an office, in a work environment. Someone who is discussing here may be an employee of Intel, someone who is discussing here may be an employee in Google, someone may be an employee of Samsung, or someone who is over here may be a school student, college student, or a university student, or somebody may be a PhD guy, or someone may be a just a volunteer who is nothing to do with this, but he may be just a Linux user, or somebody who is an enthusiast, or just a gamer who may never be into tech and other stuff, or things like that. So anyone can participate. This is how things are done in the real world. Okay, this is what gives that credibility, because Linux is a open source project. It is done by the community, it is driven by the community, it is not something held up by any individual or any corporate or any MNC or any firm. So that's what is how exciting it is. So please do contribute, and even you are a beginner in Linux kernel programming, go through this, and in case if you also find any issues, if you find any solution to any of this, you can contribute. It can be anything platform related, it can be anything like what I shown is network related, or something related with memory or stuff like that. It can be just about anything. Okay, so that's about it. So initially it will be difficult to get into that platform if you are a beginner, but down the line it is quite easy. Yes, there are thousands of cases, but it takes some time to get that getting your feet wet, but once you're comfortable, you can able to manage, and you can also solve some other bugs and stuff like that. So but again, as I said, don't consider this as like some discussion forum or something like that. This is not like that. This is much more active than a discussion forum. It's just everyone can voice out their opinion. This is something bit you need some dedication, and before posting, please check any existing bugs are there of that thread, and in case if your bug is something looks like an existing thread, try to point it out over here, so that they get more clues that how to solve in case someone have that expertise. Okay, it is like that. See, this thing will be seen by a novice, this will be seen by an expert, this will be seen by the guy who have exactly worked in that specific API what you are mentioning, or a specific kernel module where that bug is getting occurred. So it can be seen by anyone. So give as much clues as possible, present your proof by putting forward your kernel logs or dumps. So this gives that clue that how it can be approached, and eventually it will get sorted out and fixed in the upcoming releases. So, and one more thing is, every time you go through the upcoming release, somewhere you can go through the git logs and commit logs, and you can see eventually they will point it out whenever they do any git commits and stuff like that. They will point it out, say this is the bug number in Bugzee, and this particular fix is addressing that, Bugzee bug, and this is the change it is. So you can see the diff of that fix, old code versus new code, who have fixed it, and some commit number will be there, some unique number. Other than that, in the description they can also mention this is the bug ID in Bugzee or Bugzilla. You can see this bug ID is 196683. So yeah, 196683. Yeah, whereas there are other bugs, each one has a unique ID. So this is how it is. So they can use this bug number, and then whenever they do the fix in the comment of check-in of their code, they can mention this particular change is addressing this particular bug in Bugzee. So this is how things are done. I know that in case if you are a beginner, you may not still aware of that procedure. It is still fine. You can just do this place is a good place to start with. Okay, just not sticking with the textbooks and then thinking of writing a new code, because your new code may already exist in the kernel itself. So kernel is huge, it's very much bloated up, but it has so many features. Okay, so most of the times there is nothing much needed to add unless until it is a complete different fork, and it needs a complete different approach or something like that, or a different stack it is going to get inside the Linux kernel or something like that. Other than that, it doesn't have anything much. Okay, so I hope this video is quite different than my regular videos. If you have anything to discuss, or in case if you want to voluntarily participate in Bugzee but confused where to start, be in touch via mail. Thanks a lot for joining me. Stay tuned. Have a nice day. Bye.